Welcome to Inquiring Minds. I'm your host, Steve Harper, and with me, as always, is my amazing co host, Donna Carlin. Donna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It sounds like you've had a fair amount of activity happening in your world, which kind of leads to today's conversation, which I love. But what are we talking about today?
So, apropos to my life and yours for that
Yes,
matter,
true.
everybody really, we are more than one thing at a time. And that's something that we tend to disregard. So, in
Yep.
my case, I'm a mother, a daughter, wife, sister, consultant, coach, observer, community member, friend, relative, and will be viewed and judged by how I hold myself in each. And the
Yep.
person who's going to judge me the most is me. But who counts more?
Yep.
And that's the question I'm going to leave on the table.
That's an interesting question. So I'm all those things except for the daughter part. so I would be the son or the brother, I guess, in that regard. But it is interesting because I don't think a lot of people actually think about the different roles that we all do play just based on the audience, and asking yourself that question: how well do I stack up in each of those areas, and how accountable to myself, how I act and behave and communicate and engage in each of those capacities, I think is a pretty fascinating topic to dive into. So, what really prompted this topic for you?
There's a lot going on in my life right now, but I could say that about anybody. We all
Sure.
have a lot going on in our lives. And what occurred to me on the train on the way home from helping my mother, pack up to move, was that we play so many roles, but they are concurrent. It's not like I
Yes.
can only be a daughter at that moment because I'm everything else at the same time. And we have
True.
conflicting um, areas of focus in our lives when it comes to time and the time that we could allocate. I would love to be able to devote 100% of my time to Ray, my husband, or
Yep.
100% to the kids, or 100% to my mother. It doesn't work that way. It's,
No.
and I don't like to say juggling because it's not juggling. I believe that it's being 100% present with them when we're with them, even if it's for 2 minutes,
Yep.
to show
Yeah.
that we are actually there and listening and observing and witnessing.
It's interesting because I think a lot of times, and I'm guilty as charged, that I will be with my family or I'll be out on a date with my wife, and I'll be there in body. My mind is elsewhere because it's, trying to, come to grips with a problem or an issue that I might have at work or some project that I'm, trying to put some energetic energy towards. And it is funny how, if you're not conscious of it, you are slipping between these roles when you're in the presence of someone that you really need to be present for. And so I think that at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where, kind of like what we've done with this show, if you're not asking these questions, if you're not exploring them, you don't know to really stop and think about these things. And so I'm really fascinated about it. And I can understand, sort of the sense of overwhelm that you're going through. Obviously, you and I've talked offline about some of the challenges and this experience, and it's a pretty monumental project, moving your mom from where she is to where she's going to be, and all of the pressures that amount around that, and in some cases, you having to take the lead and be that, kind of that person that's in charge making that progress. But you also have your clients, and you have Ray, and you have your kids, and you have all these other things that are sort of also demanding pieces of your attention and focus. So how do you balance that? And how do you stay conscious of, not slipping into the bad habits of just, sort of not doing a good job on all levels?
You know what else occurred to me is that we tend to rush through things to be able to get to do the next thing.
Yep.
And I have made a conscious choice not to do that. So, my mother, she's an amazing woman. Like, she never ceases to amaze me. She's 93. She'll kill me for saying her age publicly, but she should be very proud of where she is in her
Yes.
life, because she really is an amazing woman. And I didn't want to miss the experience of going through some of her stuff with her. So I
Yeah.
didn't just rush and say, garbage, not garbage, that kind of thing. We went through things. It was unbelievable. We didn't just say, here's some papers, we'll put them aside, look at them later. I'm looking through this folder and I see their wedding pictures, which were a set that I hadn't seen before.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw this on my Facebook page, but there was a signed photograph to Pauline with all my love, Bobby Orr, hugs and kisses. And I
Yeah.
look at her, I go, what the hell? And she says, oh, Dad knew all the players. And we used to, hang around with them after the games. And he knew that I really liked, him, and he came over and he would seek me out. And I'm going,
That's
like, why
awesome.
didn't I know this story before? And I took the picture because she wasn't going to take it with her, so that I would have it and show it to the
Ah,
kids. Stuff like that. Autograph books like we used to have in kids, the little
yeah.
small ones
Yeah.
that even my grandfather wrote in. Beautiful message. I need to
Yep.
find out what that message is. I'm going to put that online. I think it's brilliant, for my late grandfather. That kind of experience you can't go back and have again.
No.
And the conversations we had even afterwards were a riot. They were just
Yep.
unbelievable. I would just encourage you, if you have the time that you already are devoting to somebody important in your life, share the space, the experience with them, listen to the stories they have to share, because they're priceless and you can't get that time back.
Absolutely. Well, and the key word there is share it. Actually be present and share it with that person so that you both are experiencing it. And when you come across these sort of milestone moments where, like going through the old photos and having those opportunities to have those conversations, I think, one of the things that I would encourage folks to really pay attention there is to recognize those moments as they happen and then shine a light on them, recognize them for the power that they are with that other person, like in this case with your mom or your son or whoever it might be, and say, I don't know, this is neat. We are so lucky and so blessed in this moment, in this time, to be having this conversation or to be looking or taking this stroll down memory lane and being able to experience this together. This is something that I'm going to cherish. And you make an indelible mark on that person by them recognizing how much it means to you. And I think out of habit, and you touched on it perfectly, is that we just have a tendency to blow through some of these things, right? In the for the sake of being expedient or expeditious, where we put our time and our attention, or not recognizing the fact that we do need to take a step back and pause and recognize what we're going through right then and there, because you may not get that moment in time back. And for you, 10, 20, 30 years from now, you'll be thinking about that experience. I mean, and for our American audience, and those around the world, Bobby Orr was a phenomenal hockey player. So people were like,
Yes,
Bobby Orr, yeah. So Bobby Orr is he was the Wayne Gretzky of his time, right? One of the great ones.
that's right.
And so that's a heirloom that every time you look at it should bring a smile to your face, because you'll not only get the backstory of it, but you'll remember what that memory means to you in terms of that conversation with your mom.
That's it. And then there's so many peripheral stories that are attached to that. My parents going to the hockey games, every game. I mean, they had season tickets. They sat right on the boards before there was glass. So that's a whole other
Yeah.
issue. And the fight, there would be
Bobby Orr
blood
might
all
have
over.
ended up in your mom's lap more than one time. I
That's
mean, who knows, right?
that's right. So, the other thing is, it's a lot of work. It really
Yeah,
is a lot of work. I always keep my mother in the loop, though. I don't do anything behind her back because it's not fair. It's her life.
sure.
And so, like, what else could I do for you? What else could I do for you? And she's very hesitant to say, because she knows I'm doing so much. Really a pleasure to help you do this. So
Yeah.
let's see what else has to get done. And
Yep.
I'm happy to get on the phone to say, here are the 3 more things ticked off our list, because I'm supporting somebody I love.
Yep. Yep. Well, and you're not only walking away feeling good because of what you're contributing and how you're helping, but at the end of the day, taking that moment to stop and recognize that yeah, there's two ways to look at any scenario, right? You can do it with dread, or you can do it with, a glad heart and an appreciative mindset, and in recognizing the value of the circumstance. And in this case, it's an opportunity for you to connect at a deeper level with your mom, which is so critical and important for people, especially as you get older parents, to really embrace those memories. Don't just bust through the activity at hand. Use it as an opportunity to hear those stories, hear those, why they held on to these items, or what they experienced when that picture was taken, or why it meant enough to end up in that, folder, or ended up in that album. It was important to them, and so it's always good to know the motivation that they had at that time. And a lot of times, especially, and I'm guilty of this as well, sometimes when you get those questions, it really does make you stop and think, why did I hold on to that? Why was it important for me to hold on to this item for all these years? And that alone actually helps them do a reset and sort of figure out, oh yeah, I reconnected with that thing that made this special to me, right? And that just adds to the whole allure of that connecting process, which I think is valuable. And we're talking about family, but the same is true for going back, at a corporate team and saying, hey, remember those early days when we were managing
Yeah.
this business out of my garage, or we were all crammed into one, 100 square foot office, trying to, have phone calls and make things happen. And now look at us. And those opportunities to go back and revisit the things that sort of made us who we are, or those experiences, what they were, I think are really valuable.
They could ground us.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
the second part of that piece was, who is the person, like the person who's going to judge me the most is me.
Yep.
And I suppose because of my work and literally being current in everything and teaching my clients to dance in real time with whatever's thrown at them, and not try to redo it later, which
Yeah.
you can never redo, what the opportunity is, right? Is to say no regrets. And that might sound corny, but if you have no regrets, or that is your focus, not to have any regrets, then you're going to make the right choices at the right time.
Yep. Absolutely. I
So,
think I that's sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
that's good. It's good.
I couldn't agree more. I think that is, if you were going to adopt a mantra, right, in your relationships and how you conduct yourself in business, your personal life, and the relationships are the most critical, or the activities that you on the surface may not necessarily want to do, but rather than approach it out of a sense of obligation, but out of a sense of opportunity, and we've talked about that in prior episodes, and live with no regrets, it's amazing how different things get painted, right? The picture becomes way different than, what we would ordinarily, view the circumstances. And I think that's a great, it's a great reminder for everybody. Take a step back and look at these things, and see how you can be fully present and an active participant in these opportunities, family, friends, business relationships, opportunities, for you to really do something significant with these situations that pop up in life that happen to us all, like you said. Approaching it from a different perspective than a sense of overwhelm, but a sense of opportunity, I think is really valuable.
For sure. For sure.
Yep.
This has been an incredibly eye opening part of my life.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, yeah, I'm anxious to hear more stories as we uncover more things as you go through this process with your mom. I'm sure there'll be more lessons learned for sure. But as we wrap up this episode, we would love to hear from you, our audience, whether you're seeing this on YouTube, or any of the video platforms that our episodes are making it to, as well as our podcast, let us know how this episode, changed your perspective or got you thinking, or have you had similar experiences to what Donna and I have been talking about today? We'd love to hear those stories. Donna, how could people contribute back to sharing some of these thoughts with us, about not only this episode, but maybe some other topics they'd like us to cover in the future?
Well, you could get us on our websites. Steve could be found at ripplecentral.com. I'm at Donna Carlin with a K.com. And you could, write us an email. You could get access to our social media links through there and let us know what your experiences are. Share your stories. We love to hear them and ideas for future conversations, even if you want us to take one or two to the next level. That would be
Yep.
great. We have a Facebook page, Inquiring Minds with Donna Carlin and Steve Harper. Join us there and let us know what you're thinking. We post our videos there as well.
Yep. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I wish you the best of luck as you go through these next steps with, this big transition for your mom. Give her my best. I know that, she's probably excited about this new chapter in her life. And I know you're playing a big part in helping make this the perfect transition for her, just knowing you as I do. So, and I know she's got to be excited. Hockey season is back. So, I mean, she's got some distractions relative to the upcoming season, but I'm super grateful for these conversations. And I look forward to our next chat.
Me too. You have a fantastic day.
All right, I will. You too. Take care.